What's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles. You are listening to Lyles Movie Files. I'm here tonight with the one and only Jace and Chief. We're going to talk about a lot of things, including the real allegory of the Matrix, Mulan coming to Disney Plus with a catch, and some new John Wicks on the way. So, fellas, how you doing out there?
I'm
well.
good.
I'm well. Thanks for asking.
Good deal. I love how you guys both managed
How
to
are
sync that up
you?
perfectly. Mulan
We
is
talk.
coming to Disney Plus, but you're not going to get it just from being a normal subscriber. You're going to have to pay an extra $30 for it. Then you'll be able, I mean, you can just have it forever. As long as you're a subscriber to Disney Plus, you've got Mulan in your library. You can watch it whenever. I think we talked about this earlier, that this was a good strategy for Disney in particular because a lot of their movies are geared towards families. So you set it up where we get you a super max price, but then I was thinking they could do a setup where each additional viewing, it's a little less money. So you start out maybe at $30, then go to 20, and then 10. But they were just like, nah, you get it for 30. And it was interesting watching the debate on social media because some people were like, are you kidding me? I already paid $70 for this subscription. Why am I paying an additional 30? And I was thinking, if you were going to see this in theaters like it was originally set up, if you had three people, that's more than $30. So for a family, you're actually getting over. You don't have to pay $80 for the concession stuff, and you're good. You can have it forever. And I'm kind of feeling like a lot of people who subscribe to Disney Plus probably aren't going to get rid of it anytime soon. Like it's going to be one of those things like Netflix where it's just, yeah, of course I'm keeping a subscription. So what do you fellas think about this? Chief, let's start with you.
Well, the old adage is you gotta pay to play. So listen, these are brand new movies. You're not complaining about paying for a movie on Amazon. So why are we complaining about paying extra for movies on Disney Plus? I mean, yeah, the price is a little expensive. I thought they were gonna do 20, 25. But at least they're not doing a $20 rent and then later on hit you with another $20 to own.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a silver lining in that. So I expect, if you want the movie, your family wants to watch it, then you pay. If not, it is what it is. Trust me, I don't know what people want this year. I don't know what you want from 2020. Because whatever you want from 2020, it's not good. You know what I mean? You're not going to get free movies and, you know what I mean? This hasn't been a Shangri-La year. You're sitting in the house with your family. It's movie night. You can blow 30 every 2 weeks or whatever it is. You know what I mean? You would go take them to see the little ones to go see it if you want. So it is what it is, Maybe, if 30's too much, if your friend rents it or buys it, go over their house, But the complaining, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think this is actually a pretty good deal when you consider if you have a Disney Plus subscription, you have the ability to take it on the go. So you can be in your car watching a movie, and it's like you don't even have to worry about that access. It's not like you have to stay at home just to watch it. And I think that's a really strong selling point for it for families, assuming, of course, they like the movie. But I mean, these Disney live action adaptations of their animated films have tended to be pretty good, so I'm not expecting anything different from Mulan. There is some complaints from people saying this is a movie featuring people of color, and this goes off to Disney Plus with a ripoff. This is going to be the first Disney film in a long time featuring an Asian cast, and it's just whack that it doesn't get its due when they're not doing this for other movies.
You know what's funny though? You cry when you cry. Listen, no matter what road you take, there's going to be somebody crying. So if they had done a, traditional whatever with a mostly white cast, there would have been somebody. Why couldn't the first movie be, suck with people of color, or so you're gonna get the, what I mean. You're gonna grab the wrong end of the snake, no matter which end you grab it from.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Somebody's always gonna be unhappy. Somebody's always gonna be like, oh well, you should have done this first, or you should have done that first, or this should happen first. But look, they're putting out Mulan. Cost you $30 to watch it, just like what I mean. Any other movie,
Yeah, I don't see the
it's
problem
all
here.
Asian cast.
I feel like
Yeah.
it's a deal. I mean, honestly, it's not like you're
You don't
paying
want to be messed up.
an extra surplus every time you watch it.
I think people were. I mean, I find it like kind of complaining. It's like you get a bonus movie for your service for $30. You already bought the service, so it's not an added benefit. I mean, it's an added benefit. So families who are on the road can, like you were saying, Jeff, like you can rock Mulan on a road trip to your grandma's before you go to your social distance visit. And you can, I mean, you were paying, like you said, you own that movie. It's not like you're getting hit up every time for it, which I really think they could have done. And I think you still would have got families been like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, I'm sure if they did that for the Lego movie, I'm sure parents would have been like, sign me up, just whatever. Just take as much money as you need to have these kids enjoy themselves. And to try and kind of put it like in the kind of a race connotation of it, is just like, just that's, there are far more things to deal with race than this film. It's like, it's going to make money on demand, and it's like, it could actually be the highest grossing video on demand. So what is that an, oh gosh, it's the worst thing ever? Like, no, get over it. I mean, don't stop stressing on stuff like that.
It's interesting because we're at August now, and there's not a lot of movies that have come out, of course. So it'd be interesting to see when this year wraps up, what's going to be the highest grossing film of 2020. Because at this rate, it's only going to be stuff that's come out from earlier, where it's like, okay, yeah, Bad Boys. You're the top grossing film. So far, it is Bad Boys for Life at 204.4 million. 1917 is number 2. Sonic the Hedgehog is number 3. Jumanji: The Next Level is 4, and Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker is number 5. It's crazy, right? I mean, we're talking about movies that, for the most part, were out last year that still are raking in money this year. Antebellum, Not the Band, the Janelle Monáe film, is also going to video on demand. This is the horror movie where she keeps flashing back to her ancestor who was a slave. Are you guys interested in this, and do you think this one will do well in that marketplace too?
Chase, you want to start on that one?
I guess not. Chase, go ahead.
Okay, that's not. Honestly, I mean, especially since we've all been stuck at home, and I think we've seen a little bit too much racist stuff on TV. And even though trying to put it through a horror film perspective, I don't think this is almost one I'd be like, is it okay if we hold this one back till next year?
I don't know if this movie ever has a good release date. It's just one of those things like, I was not interested when they first showed it. That was long before everything happened in 2020. But it's just like, I don't need to see that movie. I have no desire / interest in watching another slave movie. I'm good.
Yeah,
I've seen enough.
I mean, it's like 12 Years a Slave was like, I've seen enough now. Like, guys, y'all got it. I don't want to see this horror again. It's like, I understand that each generation needs a film like this, but not every 2 years or every 3 years do I need to see that.
Yeah, it's I'm not sold. I'm good. This is the 20th anniversary of The Matrix. This was the film that revolutionized the action movie genre with its cool special effects, wire fu, its slow-mo action that quickly became the norm for so many films after that. I mean, it was just always, oh gosh, they're ripping off The Matrix again. One thing that's kind of come up over the years is that this film was an allegory for being transgender. And when directors, the former Wachowski brothers, who are now Lily and Lana Wachowski, came out as trans women, they were saying that yes, that was something that we were kind of talking about. And Lily Wachowski said, I love how meaningful these films are to trans people. I'm glad that it's gotten out. That was the original intention. corporate world wasn't ready for it. The writer director added that the Matrix was all about the desire for transformation, but it was all coming from a closeted point of view. Um, okay. Let me see. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that kind of worth talking about with that. But Lily also said that they intended the character Switch to be a man in the real world and the woman in the Matrix. And I'm always these kind of things always are interesting to me because you have the directors long after the fact saying, "Oh yeah, this is the original intent for this film all along." And I'm sure if you could look into films, you could see anything. I mean, I think The Matrix is a really easy one to say, "Hey, it's about a messiah, so it's more of a Christian perspective because Neo dies to save everyone else." And I think that's really easy. He's the one. He's the chosen one. He's fighting back against this antichrist and he's doing that thing. So there's a lot of things where it's like if you want to see it, you could. You absolutely could. And I'm not dismissing anybody's take on the Matrix. I just think it's interesting that this is the I don't say new narrative, but this is just another kind of where the directors are like, yes, that was actually our intent. My only thing with this is Switch had all of 5 lines in the movie, and I don't think they would have spent any time developing Switch any further to go, yeah, well, this is my normal self and this is who I am. And I just think that was weird to kind of mention that, yeah, this is what we were always going to do with Switch, who was basically a cannon fighter character, just to get killed. So, what do you think about that, Chief?
You know, I don't know, man, because I didn't see any transgendered you know what I mean? I don't it, okay, if that's what you say, you know what I mean? Like, who am I to tell you it wasn't? But that is I guess it's all in the artist's view of the situation. You know what I mean? Like, you remember in Boomerang when they gave the 7-Up dude control of the project? He was like, man, just do what you want. And he had Grace Jones in there giving birth to the perfume.
Right.
It was his vision, I guess. I mean, who's to tell you what your vision should be or shouldn't be? I don't know. I mean, I didn't see that in that movie. You know what I mean? I didn't walk out like, yeah, that was a tip to the transgender. But I mean, like I said, that wasn't, it wasn't my vision to see. I don't know. So, is that what this next movie is going to be about? You know what I mean? The transgender fight? I don't know.
Well, they certainly won't have a reason not to if that was the original intent. Maybe Neo will come back as a woman.
Okay. I mean, after, was it a 10-year hiatus, 12-year, 15-year hiatus?
20 years since the first film, and I think the other ones were pretty close back to each other.
Yeah, that was whatever the vision is, it best be damn good. That's all I say.
Because I'm trying to think of how the sequels went along with that. I think maybe if you wanted to see it, I guess you could with the first one, but I don't know. The second one too, where man, I've watched the second one recently, and I have not a lot of desire to go and watch the third one. I watched a lot of movies since then. It's like, this franchise could have probably just ended with the first one. James, what do you think?
Okay. This is kind of one of those things that they teach in a logic class. It's called a post hoc rationale. And that's really what this sounds like. It's like, oh, yeah, this is totally where we're going. It's like, if I had a conversation, if I had a bug in you guys' office when you guys were ripping this off from the author, that you guys had to pay, and James Cameron had to pay, that actually made the story that you guys ripped off, whatever. But I think there was not a bug in the ear that you guys were talking about this. I don't buy it. And if you want to say that now, I'll try and say I'll play nice. Okay, that's what you want to go with. I think but also it's like especially the Matrix. It's like, I mean, the Matrix thing. I know you say you didn't watch it, but I think, as I always say, just cut it off after Neo dies. Just cut that movie off. It's a whole lot better movie. The when the Sentinels and the programs, it's like, so how does that all make sense about becoming a different person? Because I thought a Neo went from a computer found out it could be a person.
Yeah, the story
Yeah,
gets a little convoluted as it plays out, and I'm just like, I can see
that's
your
because it wasn't
awakening.
ripped off. That's because it wasn't ripped off from the person who originally did it. They had to come up with some other story. Like now, I mean, like, 'cause this is always like when, and this is kind of like what I was trying to figure out. Was like when J.K. Rowling said, like I was reading a book for like the Harry Potter, and then she was like, hey, after everything's done, hey, Dumbledore was gay. It was like,
Right, that's what I was thinking with this too. I'm like,
oh,
well, where did I miss
okay.
that? Because, if you want to say that, you're the creator, so whatever. But I just didn't see that at all, and I'm trying to figure out what was I missing, or was it just a thing of, yeah. And knowing kind of her thoughts on some other realms of the LGBT community, it seems kind of odd that she would go, "Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. This is what I was
I
doing."
mean, like, 'cause it's like, and like, I mean, like, from reading the books, it's like looking back with a different eye. You're like, okay, I can kind of see that if I stretch it in the most romantic way possible. That he was, I mean, this person was saying, it was like, okay, Dumbledore was talking about, Gilroy a little bit, like, oh, I guess they probably were doing something that, that you might not talk about in a children's book where a snake is eating somebody's neck. Okay, possibly.
Yeah, that's a little bit
Um,
too much for kids.
yeah, it's like, oh, that's the bridge too far. Okay. Um, but it was like, okay, that's what we're going. It's like then when she said like, oh, Nagini was actually a snake the whole time. That was something I decided years ago. It's like, no, it wasn't. Like, stop
Yeah,
it. Like,
I'm
that's
really
not
not a
the
fan of
big. This,
after the fact. Oh yeah, this is what I was saying. This is what I was doing. Because I feel like you're the one that's making it, and if you really want to put it in there, you should, not after the fact go, yeah, this is what I intended all along. Because it's like, well, who was telling you no, and why did you not fight to get it in there if that was what you really wanted in your vision in your movie?
yeah, like I think like you said it right. Like we were talking earlier. Like when you said like the Switch one, it's like Switch wasn't somebody we would have been like, oh my gosh, why did they do that to Switch? It was like we didn't know nothing about Switch. Switch had like 3 lines, like no, not like this, and that was about it.
Right, that's her
Like
only
copper
line that I
top,
remember.
and she's
Not
got 2
like
lines.
this.
So if you weren't, she wasn't a vehicle. I just don't buy that.
All right, let's
It's like
move
she,
on. Yeah.
yeah.
All right, so Keanu Reeves is still going to be in the John Wick business apparently because a fifth film is now on the docket. It is going to be filmed back to back with John Wick 4. Um, I don't get tired of watching Keanu Reeves as John Wick killing people in creative ways. Are you guys worried that a fifth film may be stretching it too far?
I like that segue. That was pretty good.
Thanks.
From Matrix to John Wick. Good job. Uh, Keanu Reeves. I mean, like, I think you just kind of come up with an endpoint for the story. I mean, because it's like this time he's going against the whole Assassin's Guild, and even like like the third one. I mean, if I'd actually, looked up what the Latin word, I mean, what that meant, prepare for war versus, parabellum, like, oh, yeah, I guess I would have figured out this is really not the end of the saga. As long as they don't, it's like 5 is probably like, okay, that's probably a good number. Like, okay, it's preparing for war, R's war, and then just that crazy war. I mean, and I guess you fight the head of the guild at the end of the 5th movie. I think that wouldn't be he's done. I mean, the choreographers have done such an imaginative job on making really cool fight scenes. It's like, yeah, I could watch that. Just maybe a bare minimum of story, good enough dialogue. Yeah, I'm good. I'll sign on for it.
Chief, what about you?
Wick, man, it's it's an action film, We're Americans, man. What do we like? We like guns. We like blowing up. Um, you put a halfway decent story in there. We'll sit down and watch it. So yeah, I mean, this John Wick. I mean, Jason's right. The action scenes. I mean, everything's incredible. I mean, the first one was off the chain because you weren't prepared for the savagery of the guy named John Wick. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then the two after it were, the three after it were good. Common had that little, when Common did a little thing together, had that little rivalry. This last one was the betrayal of his boy from the Continental.
Right.
He's got bullets to put around, man. You know what I mean? And we want to see.
That should be the name of the movie, Bullets to Put Around.
Yeah, bullets to put around, man. And we want to see that these bullets, make sure these bullets reach their proper target. We want to watch that. So I know I'm down for John Wick killing everybody, and I'm sure everybody who's a John Wick fan is. And I was having this discussion about Keanu Reeves earlier. With actually several people I had a discussion with, and I said, well, he's not a hell of an actor, but he gets these great action films or these great stories with these great actors in there with him, and they just, they just work for him. And so that's why you go see a Keanu Reeves movie. It's going to be Keanu Reeves, either great action or great storyline with another great actor or actress in that mix with him.
So, Chief, I want to see for number 5. I don't know if she's able to do it physically still, but I would love to see him team up or fight Uma Thurman. So we get a little of that Kill Bill action in there from her, have her wield a sword, fighting John Wick.
It would be funny if she was the character from Kill Bill.
Yeah, like a crossover. That would be cool, but I'm sure
The Bride? Oh, yeah.
Man, I would be all on board with that
one. They always keep talking about doing a Kill Bill 3. It's like, you can almost say, hey, Uma...
Uma doesn't. I mean, she could be like David Carradine and just sit and chill. She doesn't have to fight anymore.
I mean, all she has to do is one really cool fighting scene.
Right.
Unless she's gonna fight what's her name's character? Vivica Fox's daughter or something.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, she wants Zendaya to play her daughter, which I think could be okay. Yeah, but I'd love to see like a new black girl get that role. But we don't do that now.
We'll see, man. I mean, it's gonna, but John Wick is gonna be what? It's gonna be crazy action. It's gonna be headshots. You know what I mean? 2 in the heart, 1 in the head. That's what he does. There's this he might team up with Fishburne, because they kind of burned him in the last video. Like I said, man, and he's got to probably go back to the Continental and fight his way either up or down till he gets to his man who betrayed him. He's got to put a bullet in there, and we're all eagerly excited to watch that bullet.
Shoot, while we're talking about other people to team up with him, maybe they should reach out to Carrie-Anne Moss, go full all out with the Matrix reunion.
If they did that, then we'd be like, why am I going to see the Matrix?
I don't know if I'm going to see the Matrix for it. You're assuming too much. All right.
Yeah,
let's move on here. So here's another new movie that is coming based off of a very popular film that I don't know has as much interest for another outing. Dirty Dancing is going to have a sequel with Jennifer Grey. And I'm not sure how they're going to make that work, because I feel like most of what got people interested in that movie was Patrick Swayze. And I don't know if a Dirty Dancing set in 2021 or 22 is going to resonate as much with people. Are you guys Do you think there's any interest for this, or do you think that's a good idea? Because I kind of think you guys won't see it either way. But just what's your take on it?
I heard about this. Dirty Dancing 2, Nobody Puts Baby in a Corner. Supposed to be, isn't this what the Step Up movies before? Where's Channing Tatum when you need him? Isn't this what he does though? Like, I mean, we've watched Step Ups, we've watched all these different, like, yo, is there anything original anymore?
That seems weird because that was the sort of original thing, but I feel like the Step Up movies, like you said, are basically that same thing. And is there any reason to revisit? Like, oh man, like they did a remake of Footloose, and it's like, how can you remake Footloose now? Like, what is the point?
Dude, that remake, I watched the original came on the other day, and that dance scene at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, you can't.
Right.
That Kevin Bacon, Sarah Jessica Parker, what's his name? Chris Penn. You can't. That was like that's that '80s flow, man. Everybody was in their teens. We grew up with these actors and actresses. You know what I mean? And you can't. Like, let me ask you this. I just named, except for that one girl who I don't know her name, Dusty's girlfriend.
Laurie Singer.
Can you name
Ariel?
Right. Can you name the last Footlooses? I give you name two of them.
I had to look up to see who was in it. Kenny Mormaid was the star. Julianne Hough was in it. Dennis Quaid and Andy McDowell were in it.
Were they?
Dennis Quaid, Andy McDowell.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You're a movie guy. You're a movie buff.
I'm just looking it up.
A regular person couldn't.
I'm absolutely not that well skilled and versed in Footloose sequel. It came out in 2011, by the way, in case you were curious.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You named the characters. I didn't know anybody who could name them.
No, sir. I just looked it up.
Google machine told them.
She's handy Google.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
because I'm like, who can name that? Who knows the characters? Like, it's not. You can't. Like, imagine Ghost, a second remake of Ghost. Like, how do you?
I can see
you assume they're not going to make that.
Like, I can see you redoing like a horror movie.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It wasn't. If you make a second, if it's a remake, it can't be a horror movie. Ghost was a love story. So if you make a second remake of a horror movie, then it's something different. What the dude comes back and he tries to kill his ex now? So
maybe she falls in love with somebody else and he's trying to kill him.
Yeah, but that would make it Ghost. So that's what I'm saying though. Sometimes you can't improve on a classic. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they don't make, and it's funny, like they'll take 80s movies and they'll remake the shit out of them. You know what I mean? But imagine they try to do Gone with the Wind again, or It's a Wonderful Life again. People would be outraged. What the hell are you doing? You know what I mean? Because, was it Casablanca? The people don't want to see remakes. Like, the original was good enough on certain movies. Yep. And in certain movies, the movies suck so bad, nobody wants to see a sequel. So, if you have a great original or a bad original, you don't need to make a remake. You just don't. And then, you know what I mean? If you wanted to do a part 2, back then, you could have probably gotten away with that. But now you're talking about classic characters, and a lot of them, like, in Swayze's case, are not even alive anymore. So you can't even introduce a cameo into that movie that might be like, oh, it's nothing. You know what I mean? There's nothing.
Chief, I did not expect you to be so passionate about a Dirty Dancing and Footloose conversation. I have to be honest with you. But you came through for me.
I've watched Dirty Dancing. It's not my jam. It's an interesting movie. You can sit there and watch it and not be irritated that you're sitting there and watching it. But Footloose, man, that was my movie back in the day. I mean, I'm an '80s cat. That was my movie back in the day. I love me some Footloose, man. I'd be in the room trying to imitate the dance moves at the end of the joint. You know what I mean? Because I always wanted to go to a high school or school where everybody was a professional dancer.
Hey, dude, Largo was pretty close to it though.
You know, where we could just break out into dancing and
in the hallways, right?
Yeah, man, and everybody would be just perfectly choreographed.
Yes.
You know.
Do that dance that I taught y'all.
Yeah, you know, so yeah, we don't need to see no more, man. We need to. If you want to make a new movie, you know, a Step It Up 6, go ahead, man. But you know,
okay,
just to do another Dirty Dancing.
Let's not. All right, Jace, you're gonna love this segue too. Speaking of remakes, James Wan, who's done Fast and the Furious films, just as a caveat here, so you don't go rushing for the tomatoes like Chief did. James Wan is going to be producing a new Knight Rider movie. What is your interest level?
Knight Rider movie. You know, I keep asking this question. Is there no one coming up with any original ideas? I understand that this guy's done some good car-related movies, but I mean, this just seems like a stretch. I mean, I understand, like, if you're a director and they say, hey, we got a Knight Rider project for you, you're down, you're like, how much are they paying me? $3 or $4 million. I mean, I can wait. I can do a couple weeks for, Knight Rider. But for an audience, you're like, no. I mean, they did the, what was it, the Knight Rider 2000 TV show, and nobody wanted to watch it.
Right.
And it's like, you want me to spend $20 to go see Knight Rider in theaters? It's like, what's the end game? It's like, Kit's going to become, his best friend's going to become the car, and then we're going to go ride off into the sunset or something? It's like, no, Knight Rider works best as a TV show. It's like, it's not going to work as a movie. So I'm going to have to save my $20. I'll buy Mulan on Disney Plus instead.
All right. Chief, you got any thoughts on this one?
Man, I can't wait till they remake this, man. I mean, you remember how well the new television series went when they came out with the Red Knight Rider? Oh man, everybody was so pumped. It was excellent.
I don't think that's what happened. I don't think that's happened.
Actually, that did happen, man. That did happen. So
no one was pumped for it though.
Oh, no one was pumped for it. That is true. That was all sarcasm and parody right there. Nobody's looking for a Knight Rider movie, man. These kids. I mean, next, what are they gonna do? The $6 Million Man next?
Starring Mark Wahlberg. Come on, get with it.
Yeah. So I mean, nobody cares about no Knight Rider movie. These kids don't even know what Knight Rider is. You know what I mean? If you did a Fortniter movie, it would be, people would come out, these kids these days would come out and want to see what it was. But Knight Rider, man, Michael Knight, if you watch those, we grew up on, like I said, again, the 80s. We grew up on those shows, but if you watch them now, you'll realize, like, how impractical it was to just have a car do, you know what I mean? Like, he just can't monitor the room. Michael, there's people approaching. All right, kid, I'm gonna go to the southwest corner of the building and jump. Be down there. You know what I mean? Like, it just you watch nowadays, and even though you still like, it's Knight Rider, but it's still, you're like, It's kind of, it's kind of cheesy now. From when you was, when you was young, it used to be like,
product of its time.
Yeah, nice and campy 80s. We're good.
Yeah, like when I watch Buck Rogers, I'm not like, oh man, these laser blasts look so fake. Because I can't look at it from 2020 standards. But, from whenever it was made, 70s, it did the job.
I was going to say, where are you watching Buck Rogers? Because I actually would like to sign up for that.
I mean, Buck Rogers is a classic. That's something I go for a remake series or movie on. I missed this.
Aaron Gray, right?
Yes, sir. I missed this.
Can we do a Flash Gordon remake?
Hold on. I missed this earlier when I was talking about the Disney deal with Mulan. But Disney announced that Disney Plus has hit its 5-year global subscriber goal in 8 months.
Jesus Christ.
Again, I'm jealous of Gunner for getting that stock when he did. Sheesh.
They're like, why did we open up the park?
Yeah, right. Let's get
like,
I guess you can charge family $70 a person as opposed to the subscription, but that's crazy. I mean, you think HBO Max and all these other streaming services would hope for that, like even half of it. It's just their 5-year goal. Like, hey guys, we're just gonna throw this number out there. Hopefully, we'll hit it in 5 years. They hit it in 8 months.
Well, the great thing about that's by them picking up that 20th century license when they did, right, and actually having that deal finalized was perfect timing because I can watch The Simpsons, and yes, I finally watched X-Men Apocalypse because I'm working from home, and I'm like, I would never watch this movie otherwise, but it's like, you just say, you use 2 hours of my day off. So, I mean, it's just like they could not, it was kismet on that one. It's just perfect timing, and, I'm jealous of them. Good job.
Yeah. And they actually have more stuff that I want to watch than pretty much any other streaming service beside Netflix.
Mm.
Yeah, because HBO Max commercials and Peacock apparently has all the Harry Potter films, and I'm like, how is this an incentive for people? Because you're talking about films that were out when people were buying Blu-rays and DVDs. I don't see the selling point of, hey, you can watch it on our streaming service. Like, okay,
like you already own on DVD.
Right. Yeah, it's like, unless you say like, hey, we have the extended edition cuts that you can stream that you might not have got on Blu-ray or DVD, that would be the selling point. Like, say, like when they were doing, I think it was the HBO Max, like, oh, we got all the Friends. I'm like, your friends still don't have the version I saw on DVD that had 26 minutes an episode, that had jokes that were not appropriate for TV. Like, you guys don't have that, so why am I going to buy HBO Max either?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks,
There's
guys.
no selling point of those.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to wrap this up right now. So, fellas, who are your nominees for Dummy of the Week? Jason, want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
No, I'll do this. Mine's going to be quick.
All right.
So, my Dummy of the Week is actually going to be Mr. Justin Hartley. And the reason why is because, like, his now ex-wife has a show on Netflix called Flipping Sunset, I believe.
Yeah.
And on the show, she decides to divulge that the way she found out about her divorce was through a text message. Now, I understand, you don't want to have confrontations in this world, but I think as an adult, we kind of have to be a little bigger than if we're going to break up with somebody. You got to do it a little better than text message. Get the yelling, get the throwing stuff at you, but you got to do it a little better than, just doing text message. Hey, you dumpster, peace out. So,
I mean, he could have done TikTok, so at least he sent a text.
Hey, the rest of us would have thought, and we would have been like, did he just break up with his wife on TikTok? I think he did.
Yeah, bad luck.
Bad luck, but it was funny though. So, but to find out, be it your ex-wife's new show on Netflix that she got dumped via text, you might want to try and step your game up on your breakups. But that's my dummy of the week.
Good call. Mine is Adam Avon, the AMC CEO, who said, "We've survived the coronavirus crisis." If you haven't been paying attention to AMC, they lost $561.2 million in the recent quarter due to theaters being closed by Corona. He's optimistic that things are about to turn the corner now, and I'm not seeing too many theaters in the United States opening back up right now. So you, sir, are wrong about surviving the coronavirus crisis, especially when your theaters still are not open. That's my dummy week.
Is he saying they've survived because Amazon has already picked them up and he's just waiting to cash in the stock?
No, man, he's just saying we survived the worst of it, and now we're about to come out stronger than ever.
Hey, man, me and Chief are going to be the first ones in the theater in 2022.
I bet.
So right now, not so much.
Right. 2022, 2023. Yes, sir.
On it.
I'll add. All right, fellas. Well, thank you as always for joining me. Thank y'all out there for listening. This episode of Lyle's Movie Files has been filed.